And it's in that moment of understanding that I'm aware of this right now, where we can go, oh, I just want to put this down and go do something else. And those little moments where we get to do something else and the responsibility and the action that we take at that point actually helps us become better in those tougher moments. Hello, and welcome to the Mindset and Self-Mastery Show. I'm your host, Nick McGowan. Today on the show, I want to talk about us just taking the time to give ourselves rest. I think there are times where we as people will just drive ourselves crazy. We drive ourselves mad, just doing all these things, all the things that we feel other people are telling us to do, or the world tells us to do. Sometimes we just need to rest. And I wanted to take this time to share a message of suggesting that you rest, partially because it's coming from a personal experience. I have been working a lot over the past few months, working a lot of projects for clients. I have my own strategy for the podcast and updated that. I had 6 months of content I put out and all aligned so that we're on the same page. I'm not just blasting out random messages and stuff like that, but doing all of that work because of a really challenging end to a chapter that happened recently got me to a point where I could feel there's a little bit of burnout starting to set in. The reason why I'm doing this episode now is today is one of those days where I've canceled a few meetings and instead chosen to make a podcast episode. I have a client call later today, some project work to do, and then a bunch of music to play. And that is my choice, but it's also my choice to make sure that I'm choosing those things for my health. I think there are times where we will do things consistently and we get into a pattern, almost like how you can probably drive to the grocery store without even really thinking about it. We just do it. Subconsciously, we just travel there and we're good. Sometimes we'll be thinking about something else, or maybe you're texting or looking at your phone or whatever, and you just magically end up at the store. Sometimes it happens in life more so than we think about it. Going to your office, picking up your kids, going out to meet with friends, whatever the things are, even if they're novelty or something you don't do all the time, you can still get in the habit and just be used to doing those things without actually asking yourself why you're doing those things. Sometimes it's also really tough to ask yourself, why am I still here? Or why am I doing this? Or why with whatever it is? Could be a job, could be a relationship, could be something you're experiencing inside, something that you're trying to work on or work through. Either way, as those situations happen, we have an opportunity and a responsibility in some ways to be able to look at that and say, well, do I want this? Do I not want this? Is there something underneath that's telling me, hey, something's slightly off? And it can be really easy to not listen to that. You've probably gone through things where you look and it's, let's say, the holiday season. Next thing you know, it's summer. Here we are. I'm recording this in June. So by the time you listen to it, it'll probably be July, middle of the summer. You might be on vacations. You might be doing different things. There's a lot of pushing and pulling of taking people different places or vacations. People come into town, or you go visit different people, or just a weekend at the beach or the mountains or whatever that thing is. But those things aren't always as restful as we need them to be. Sometimes the moment that we really need is a bit of a longer moment to just be restful. So let's just hang out for a second. Just rest. Are you in your car? Are you at the office? Are you at home? You have a lot of people around you. Are you like in a coffee shop with everybody doing their thing around you? No matter where you're at, I challenge you to take this moment just to be. Now, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. Just be. Just be present. Just be here. And is there some feeling that comes up? Something that says, maybe this feels good. I don't experience this enough. Or something that says, this feels really bad because I don't feel like I can or should experience this. Those are telltale signs to tell us that there's something that's going on underneath. If we get past or through or even around that, we think about there are times where we feel somewhat off. Let's unpack that a bit. In those moments where you feel off, at least for me, when I feel off, there are different flavors to what's off. The burnout that I feel at times is most often because I'm doing things that, yes, I may really enjoy those because I really do my best to not do the things I don't enjoy anymore. Obviously, there are responsibilities and things that we kind of have to do. Like, I don't really want to pay for my car, but I want to keep my car. So I will continue to pay the car note, like that sort of thing. Then there are other things that we do that if we just adjust those slightly or take a pause, just a beat for a second, step back and say, what am I feeling? What's feeling off right now? I've learned with myself that I can ask those questions and go maybe within like a 24 or 48 hour range. What happened yesterday? Or is there something coming up in a few days that I'm maybe concerned about or worried about or even just processing through? Like I have a meeting coming up in a few days. It's an event where I'm speaking and talking with a lot of people, and I'm excited. There's also a little bit in there of like, oh, what should I prep or what else do I need to get ready for or what have you. So we all have those little things that just they're processing in the background. That's different than not having the energy or the drive or the motivation even to start or continue on with the thing. It's in those moments where we get to choose, do I just put some dirt on it and just keep going? Or do I pause for a second and say, what is up? Why am I feeling this? What am I actually feeling? I had an experience the other day where I was at kind of a crux point in a sense, like a fork in the road, where I could keep on a path. I was working on a client project and I was at a spot where, I don't know, maybe another 5-10 minutes and I could have been like, cool, I can put a bow on that. I can just move along and I can go do something else. But I felt for like a solid 15-20 minutes leading up to this moment, just not right. Like I just didn't want to do it anymore. There are different times where we as people can just like not want to do anything. I don't want to be here anymore. And you can just Irish exit or walk out or run or whatever. Then there are other times where we think, well, I don't want to be here because of something or some situation, or this is hard or tough or what have you. I go through those. Like I'll ask those questions. So I'll take a little bit of a step back, especially in that moment. I sat back in my chair and was like, what am I feeling? Is it just that I don't want to do this right now? That I just want to do something else? Like is it as simple as I just want to go walk outside for a minute? Like just not be in this energy? And asking those initial questions will help us understand if there's something that's really close to it. That we can say, oh, it's this thing. Duh, let me just take care of that. And then we're good and you're good to go. I've experienced that where it's like, oh, well, I felt like this nagging thing was in the background. Like I need to go switch over the laundry or something like that. Be like, oh, well, instead of just pushing that off, let me go do that. Let me just take the 5 minutes to do it, come back and be good to go. Then you're done. You're no longer thinking about that. That's no longer processing back there. But that's vastly different than there's something underneath it all that is like, I don't think this is the right time for you to do this. So that moment that I had, I went through my questions and was like, what is it? What am I feeling? What do I want? It wasn't that I didn't want to do the project. I could have just kept going with the project. It was literally one of those situations where I was like, I could keep going on this thing and I could probably spend another 3-4 hours doing this. And it would have been okay. But so when I asked myself, do I really want to stop this or do I just want to keep going? I knew I was at a time where I could keep going. Again, I could do it for another 3-4 hours, be totally good. And then maybe at the end of that go, oh my God, I don't even want to look at my computer. Let me go do something else, like out of the house or wherever, But I felt in that moment, like this is one of those really good moments where I go, well, I could keep down this path and I'd probably be okay and not totally burn out or feel like I wasted the day or anything like that. Or I could sit here a little longer, another minute or two, and figure out what's really underneath of it. So I ended up putting that project to the side, actually stopped at that moment, which I don't think that I have OCD, but there are times where, and you've maybe experienced this, like if you just spend another 5-10 minutes on a thing, you would have gotten to a point where you go, cool, bow tied. I'm able to put that to the side. Then when I come back, I can kind of start freshly with it. I just stopped. I was like, this is where I'm at. I'm done. When I opened the project the next time, it did take me an extra few minutes to go, all right, cool. I see what I did. Cool. Perfect. And I was able to move from there. So it's not like it messed anything up. But in that moment, I didn't really care. It could have put me back another half hour, or it could have potentially put me ahead by doing something different. So stopping that thing, I felt the power that I have the ability to be able to say no, and that doesn't feel right for me to do right now. I also understand that this isn't always the case for everybody. You can't be in the middle of a meeting and say, I don't want to be here right now, and expect that it to just be okay. You can't be in the middle of a conversation with your kid or your partner and just go, I don't want to be here, and expect that it's going to be okay. That's just not how those things work. But in these different little experiences, and especially when we're by ourselves, I think that's where we get to work on this stuff. So if you're in your office or you're at home or you're wherever you're at and you feel that moment of this doesn't feel right for me to do, and you start to ask yourself, is it because I just don't want to do the thing anymore? Or is it because I feel like I really want to go do something else? Like I've experienced that at times where I'm like, there's some basketball game or something on. Like, I don't want to do this thing. I want to go watch the game. And sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll do both and, whatever. Like, but we get to figure that stuff out in those moments. So if you ask yourself in those moments, like, what's going on? What am I feeling? Do I really want to do this? Do I not want to do it? Is there something underneath of it all? And really what I'm trying to get to is that underneath layer. Like find what's underneath, like what's boiling the magma underneath there. It's starting to make the ground shake in a sense. Because then in that moment, you're able to understand, if I put my energy into that, that's potentially going to help the rest of the energy that I have, and also probably that other project. So when I stopped working on that project the other day, I knew I could keep going. And there was a part of me that was like, man, you got it. Like, you can just keep going. Just knock this thing out. Close this chapter of this project so you can move along to the next thing, which does make me feel really good. I love being able to kind of close things out and go, great, I'm going to hand it off to the client, or I'm going to hand this off to this person. You take it, great, I'm good, and I can move along to the next thing. I also know about myself that I'm a project person. I really love my projects. I'm multi-passionate, but I love digging into the things that I do. You may be similar. So if you enjoy that, it can be hard at times to stop on a project. But again, back to that moment. I stopped that project a little earlier than I wanted to and moved along through a series of a few different events that led me to a breakthrough. And the reason why I put it that way is because it took me walking outside, getting in my car. I went to the post office because I had to drop some stuff off and came back, cleaned up the kitchen a little bit and went to the bathroom. It just like did odds and ends, little things here and there, but also things that felt like I was led to do. Just like as simple as the bathroom. Like we know when our bladder's like, yo, dude, you got to go. So you just kind of walk your way on back. Same deal. Could feel it intuitively of like, I'm going to go step outside. I'm just going to run to the post office. I'm going to clean up the kitchen. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Within about, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. Post office is only a few minutes away, so it's not that big a deal. But within a short period of time, I was back at my computer and had my guitar in my hand. And I just felt more at ease. It's not like there was better or some major difference, but I could feel a little lighter and a little more at ease. I've realized that tells us that we're doing something more right for ourselves. Not like we were doing things wrong before, but this is one of those things that feels more right to do. Great. It can also go against the system of the world that says you're not doing enough, you're not producing enough, you're not creating, you're not blah, 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 blah. And I felt some of that where I was like, I'm not doing the project work stuff. That's money and that's clients. And I appreciate my clients. I appreciate the money. I love working with the people I do. And like, I'm on board with them and their projects. And like, I'm in it with them. And also can still pause that, take a step away, do some other things and work on our own projects. The main reason why I'm talking about this and that it stood out to me was I've been writing an album for several years. You've probably heard me talk about how I reformatted a hard drive about a year ago and lost everything. So I've started over again. And even in the past 2 months, maybe a month and a half, 2 months, I've taken the songs that are going to go on my album and I've said, great, I hear where they're at with their demo and just put them to the side and started over. I literally picked up my acoustic and just started to build the song again from a single player, a singer, songwriter, and just build it and then turn it to a band and all that stuff, etc. So I've been working through this and literally reworking these things. So that's where I ended up getting to is one of these songs. I have been bashing my head, in a way, to try to figure out the chorus of one of the songs. And it's just not feeling right. Just not. If you're creative and you have different projects you work on, there are things, even if it's with your hands, like playing an instrument or woodworking and stuff like that, where you're just not fully there yet. It's not fully done. Like a piece maybe isn't fully sanded down or fully completed. We know when it is. We can feel it inside of us. And in that, I don't know, maybe 30, 45 minutes or so that I was just messing around, just getting my energy right, I figured out the chorus. And it literally came from a frustration point of saying, I don't like this. I really don't know where to go with it. But I know that there's something here. I know the message is within it. I just need to hear it. I need to feel it and then let it come out of me. So I literally hit record and just let it come out of me. And it did. I don't think this is going to be like one of those classic songs that people will cover and sing for eons. Maybe. Who cares? I don't know. I don't really care. But I know that moment happened because of the other moments that happened. I took the moment to say, something feels off. What do I do? Well, what can I do to feel on? How can I make this change? And asking those questions and intentionally looking for the feeling that I would have inside for the intuition to go this way, go that way, try this thing, do that. I've learned with my intuition, and I believe this is probably true with everybody's intuition, that it's giving us the truth and it's suggesting things that feel deeply connected to our bodies. That could be get the hell out of this place, or that could be go run toward that person and talk to them, or whatever it is. And it's not a mental thing. It's an intuitive, it's a body, it's an energy thing that we feel, this is it. This is where I'm going. This is where I feel led to. There was probably, I don't know, a series of 10, 20 different ones of those, like little check-ins and stuff, just in that short, let's say, hour amount of time. The time from having the feeling and then starting to do things outside of that, and then music and working on it and all, etc. That to me is life. Like those moments where we get to actually think about that and break that down, especially right now. As you're listening to this and as we're talking about this and breaking this stuff down, this is a safe kind of lab space to be able to work on this stuff. It's because when we do that work now, when we get into those situations, we then get to go, I've been here before. Even if it was mental reps, or I've been somewhere close to it, or I feel a little bit more confident in being able to go into this, even if I don't know exactly what the hell's going on or how it's going to work out or whatever, we're more equipped in that moment. I think about it as like game tape with athletes. They'll watch what they did, and then they'll watch how terrible they played or whatever it was, and look at the nuances and changes. Not so they can go, man, all right, well, I want to go back to yesterday and redo the game. No, you can't do that. At least science hasn't shown us how to do that yet. So they'll take that and go, all right, cool. So next time when I'm in that exact spot, what I should do is actually go right instead of left and then pivot on one foot or whatever. They'll lock that into their brain. Same for us. Like with that moment, I was like, something feels a little off. And I've learned from my years of doing this that I go, let me pause. What is it? And I don't turn it into some big weird thing. Like, this is a teaching, an educational kind of experience in a sense, where you're listening and taking this in to go, all right, cool, I hear you, dude. And yeah, next time I'm in this sort of situation, I can do this thing. But it's not like I'm in those situations. I'm like, oh my God, this is the biggest thing ever. I'm so excited. No, most times it literally just happens. And I'm like, what the fuck do I feel off for? And I'll start to work through this. And I've realized that these frameworks that work for me work for other people, but that they all work in the way that they work. I'm not a huge fan when somebody says, here's the thing that I figured out. I don't give a shit what your context is. Just like go do it. And you will have the exact same experience. Doesn't make any sense. Like at all. Because everybody's context, everybody's life, everybody's experiences are so different. Even the same people who grew up the same way, in the same house, experience different things. So those moments in that little framework, it's just a series of questions of check-ins, which you can do with nobody knowing. So you can be in your office thinking, do I really want to be here anymore? What's going on? Well, I really want to slap that person in the face because the thing they just said was the dumbest thing I've heard all day. Well, I'm typically not a violent person, so why do I want to slap them? Like thinking through that sort of stuff. But really taking a moment just internally to check in, say, what am I feeling? What's happening right now? Because if you know at your core that you are naturally one way, or your tendency is toward one way, and you're off from that, then that's a simple deduction. Like those two things aren't aligned, you're off. I know at my core, I'm naturally curious and really inquisitive. Like I ask a lot of questions. I'm super curious and I see patterns in things and I'm joyous and I get all excited. I also know there are times where maybe I only slept 4 hours that night before. So I'm not naturally that way, but I can realize the difference between my body just feels drained or I at a soul level feel drained. But it's not often clear right up front. So my challenge to you is in those moments, next time one of those moments comes up where you feel slightly off, just pause and sit in yourself and ask what feels off. Again, if you're in like a meeting or in front of people or something, you'll need to just do that quickly internally. And I say quickly in the sense that I don't want you to get through it just to get through it. I want you to figure out as quickly as you can, intuitively, like what feels off. And just ask, all right, intuition, what feels off right now? And if you don't hear anything right up front, okay. I think sometimes we can kind of calcify our intuition and make it hard to hear the certain things. And the more work that we do and the more hearing we can hear from it, the louder things get, the more we can feel that. I've seen that within my experience, and that might be similar to yours. I've heard that is similar with other people as well. It's like a muscle. The more you work it, the more you work and the more you can hear it. So doing this and asking these questions will also help with that. But also then help you understand, it might be something that comes up that goes, oh man, you're really upset about what happened this morning with you and your partner. Oh, but here I am 6 hours later in the middle of a meeting talking about some production thing or some product or whatever the thing is. Understanding where you're at and what feels off then gives us an opportunity and again, a responsibility, either do something with it in that moment or to pause with it, kind of put a pin and then come back to it and do some work with it. If you're able to do something in the moment, like I was in my situation where I went, pause, I'm going to go do something else because I can feel slightly off, then do that. If you can't in that moment, then just get back to it a little later and get back to that feeling of what were you feeling in that moment. That's why I like to be able to do this stuff as quickly as possible because you're right there and you're feeling it. You don't have to think back to it or try to get your body to remember what it felt like. You can then just go right there like it just happened. I feel it right now. But taking the rest that you need in the moment to be able to understand what's going on is vastly important. And oftentimes, we can get so swept up in how life is and everything that's going on that you wake up in the morning and the next thing you know, it's 10, 11 o'clock at night and the whole day's just flown by. I think about how sometimes we as people, and especially millennials, we seem to just be drawn toward our phones to just have that dopamine after a little while. And I do that too. There are times where I'll end up on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or something. I pulled up, I'm a group expert in a Facebook group for podcasters. I think there's like 120,000 people in the group. It's a pretty large group. So I'll hop on every once in a while, look at somebody's question or apply something back. And the next thing you know, it's like 20 minutes later, I'm just thumbing through looking at dumb shit. It's like, but we as people will subconsciously pull ourselves back to that because it's familiar. It's also a little dopamine hits, etc. And it's in that moment of understanding that I'm aware of this right now where we can go, I just want to put this down and go do something else. And those little moments where we get to do something else and the responsibility and the action that we take at that point actually helps us become better in those tougher moments. Now, the moment that I had of saying, I'm in a project point where I can stop or keep going, but I feel like there's something else for me to do, isn't the same pivot point of a building's about to fall down or the world's going to collapse. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. These aren't life and death experiences, but there are times where that stuff can happen. And it's this stuff now and these moments now when we can work on this to then be potentially in a better spot. It's like you don't know what's going to happen in those times, but you can at least do the work leading up to it so that you know, look, I can probably handle this a little better than I would have been able to hadn't I not done any of this work. So my challenge to you is take some rest. Take it this weekend. Take it over the course of the next week, 2 weeks. During that rest, and whatever amount of rest that you get, even if it's just sitting there by yourself, and I'm not talking about sitting on your phone or even reading or something like that. I'm saying just being with ourselves, because then we can listen to ourselves. And it can be really hard to do that at times, especially if you're not used to it. For me, I get into just a rhythm with life where I'm just moving and grooving. There are times where I really understand I need to just slow down and just listen. And it can be really loud white noise to just sit there and listen. So my challenge is for you to do some of that in whatever capacity you can, in whatever time that you have. If it's 30 seconds, if it's a minute, if it's 2 hours, who cares? Just spend the time over, let's say, the next week or even a few days to be able to check in with yourself and understand, what am I feeling right now? What's happening? What feels off? Or on the opposite side of that, what feels totally on? Because then we can say, oh, these things aligned with me and make me feel really excited and really on. How do I do more of those things? That's kind of how I got into the podcasting stuff. I've had my podcast for almost 5 years at this point, but started working with clients, podcasters, and thought leaders maybe about a year into the podcast. And over the years, it's just grown and grown. And I get more and more excited about working with people who are brand new or people who have been doing it for a little bit and trying to figure out strategy and just how all this stuff works. Because of all the stuff that I've done in the past, different moments I can look back to and go, I really didn't like this one job, but I loved this part of it. And I loved meeting with these people who helped me understand this, etc. I guess an easy example, I'm very process driven. Because if I wasn't, I would be all over the place. And I understand that about me. And I've also had it kind of beaten into me with different agencies I worked with and worked for, where we have to have a process in place. And that process allows us to kind of play jazz in the middle of it. Makes total sense. Great. So now I incorporate that in basically everything I do. I use a project management tool for all of life and don't always use it, but I still have it and I work on it and I do these things to be able to help myself be in a better spot where I can say, this is more of what I want. And that's really what it's about. It's being more aligned with who we are at our core and doing things more so of what we want because of that alignment. Not like, I just don't want to be at my job, so I'm just going to leave. Or I want to go spend $40,000 on some crazy dragon PRS or something. Like, cool. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but in all reality, why are you doing those? Like, what's the alignment with that? And what is the purpose to it? So again, thinking about the situation I went through, I could have kept working on the client project. I really enjoy my clients. I enjoy the project work. I'm a nerd with this stuff, so I could keep at it. Or something feels off, I can go do something slightly different and then use that energy in a different way. I hope I am able to do that a lot more throughout life. And I suspect I will be able to, because I've seen that I've been able to. Over the past few years, more and more and more and more of that happens, which is why I have more of these episodes to be able to talk about these things, because I want you to be able to understand not only are you capable of doing this, but probably better of doing it than I am and in your own way. This isn't a competition. In fact, any of the stuff that I go through, I've learned that it's really part of my responsibility to share in the way that I look at it and how I've experienced these things, to share with other people, to then take that in their own lives. You might listen to this and go, cool, Nick, heard, but fuck, that sounds stupid. Okay. You might listen to this and go, Nick, that is wonderful. I felt the same thing. I appreciate the framework. I'm going to do more of this. Great. My job is just to share. Your job is to interpret the information, figure out what you want to do with it, and use some of it or not, and move along from there. My encouragement to you is to be able to take those moments of rest and really to be self-aware enough to see that you need that rest or that something is slightly off. And the more that we can do that in the smaller moments, the more it'll add up in the long term. So if you need help figuring out how to go about this way, figuring out how to become more self-aware, or just really struggling with your mental health or overall mindsets and trying to figure out what does self-mastery mean for you, then reach out to me. Offer free clarity sessions to be able to figure out where you're currently at, where you want to go, and how we can get there together. And I would love to work with you and at least hear where you're at with things. And if I can give you some free resources or guidance or wisdom, I'd be happy to do so. And also, if it makes sense for us to work together on a mentoring perspective, I'd love to explore that with you. But please try this. Just take that moment when you feel off. just take a moment to rest and ask yourself what feels off and then move along from there. Even if you don't want help mentoring or don't want to talk, totally fine. But I would love to hear from you of how it has been working for you. Because I think these little pivotal moments for us start to shape things way down the road that we don't know that we're starting to work on, but we can do this work right now. So I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being here. And I appreciate that you take this stuff and you do some work with it. Again, I'd love to hear how it's working for you. And if you need some support and need some help, please reach out. And again, thank you for listening today. Thanks for listening to today's episode. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the episode, please jump over to Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you consume podcasts and subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. It's very much appreciated and also helps other people find the show and experience healing just like us. Please also head over to our website, themindsetandselfmasteryshow.com, where you can check out all of our episodes and find additional resources to help you manage your mindset as you seek self-mastery. So with that, thank you. And remember, your mindset matters, and so do you.